I want to talk about the importance of introspection. We've heard the word because it's in Bhagavad Gita, the introspective sage. The introspective sage, what does that mean? It is so easy to not be introspective, and we need to be. I want to talk about it. Introspection means to go inside and understand myself, my consciousness, where I need to improve, my anarthas, my challenges, why I am the way I am, why I react the way I am. Just a realistic assessment of who I am. And that is not easy, but that is necessary. Now, we all know it's very easy to see the faults of others. And it's very difficult to see our faults. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, if you see the faults of others, they will delude you. And what you should do is introspect. Find your own fault. See your own process. What's going on? Now, a lot of times, we will interact with someone and we'll get upset because that person has triggered something inside of us. And we think they're upsetting us, and we're blaming them because we're not introspecting. We're not understanding. It's not what they did. It's something about me that interacted with them. Now we're having elections in America. It's very polarized. There are strong emotions on both sides of the aisle. And a lot of people do not like people who don't agree with them. There's something about them. Has that ever happened to you, where a devotee disagrees with you, and because they disagree with you, you start disliking them. You lose respect for them. You can't see their good qualities because they just don't agree with you. That's introspection. It's to ask, why am I reacting this way? Why is it that I dislike someone who doesn't agree with me? Or even, why am I understanding the philosophy or applying it in a particular way? Does it have anything to do with the philosophy as it is, or does it have something to do with me, who I am, and my processes, and my filters, and the way that I prefer to see the world? And then I start denying the way other people see the world. What's going on? This is what introspection is about. Now, the last thing I want to say is, if you ever have a leadership position, introspection is essentially important, because in relationships, you have to be conscious of your behavior. You have to be conscious if your actions are upsetting. You have to be conscious not to blame others for their actions, which may simply be triggering some emotion or some anartha or some handicap within inside yourself. So it's a most essential aspect of spiritual life, but specifically when one is a leader, it is most essential. So introspection, it's something we have to cultivate. It's about self-honesty. It's about looking why we believe what we believe, why we do what we do. It's about looking at our motivations. It's about looking at what we, how other people will see us, not just how we see ourselves. It means the willingness to look at what's making us act, what's making us think, what's making us believe, and be open to examine it and be open to improve it. And this is such an important process of Krishna consciousness. Could pick a verse, so that's what I did. And I picked some verses which we'll read and some purports. And this is based on something I've been thinking about for many, many years, and specifically lately thinking about it. And I wanted to bring up, I think, a problem that we all potentially face.
or maybe we're facing, and discuss it. And sometimes we face a problem and we don't even know it. And you can't solve a problem that you don't know you have, right? So sometimes the duty of the teacher is to present a problem that you may not even realize you have. Right? Like sometimes you don't feel well and the doctor says, well, it's because your liver is doing this and that. And how often do you think of a liver? You don't even know what the liver does. But then he explains it to you. Well, that's why I feel tired, or that's why my mind is not clear, and so on. I didn't know. So like that. Okay, are you ready? So here's the topic. Well, let me state it as a problem rather than a topic. A problem that I see in our movement and also within myself as well is that it's quite common to evaluate our success in bhakti in every way possible other than our own character and qualities. You want me to... Oh, I don't have an adapter. I didn't bring an adapter. It doesn't go straight. It doesn't matter. It's not like that important. I mean, you have access to the folio one. You could get... let's see. You want to put up Antya 4, 129 and 130? Oh. So, it looks something like this. Have you ever chanted your rounds? They were pretty good. I hope you've had a few days. They're pretty good. You know, they were good, and then it's like, okay, I'm good. Today I'm good because I chanted good rounds. You ever felt like that? It's like I went to the gym. Today I'm good, I'm strong. Yeah, maybe you have cancer and you're dying, but you went to the gym and you lifted some weights and did this and that. So you think, I'm good, I'm good. So I chanted some good rounds and therefore I'm good. Which is true, but not entirely. Because if I think I'm good, then what do I do the rest of the day? I don't have to do, I don't necessarily feel impelled to act well in every situation because I did well this morning. I'm good, right? Or yesterday I distributed 150 Bhagavad Gitas. So it's like, I'm the man, I'm the man, right? So, or I made so many life members or whatever it was, I got a huge donation or I did something, right? And so then I think, it's good, I did well. So then these other things, maybe that I'm not doing well, I don't notice because I think I'm doing well. You ever have that problem? Or if you haven't, you can think about it. One of the most common things that we were aware of earlier in our days is that we would equate our accomplishments with our level of Krishna consciousness. So those who distribute more books must be more Krishna conscious. It may be true and it may be entirely not true because sometimes we have this experience that some new bhakta joins and they say, and he hears about book distribution and he says, I'd like to do that. And he's like, one day, yesterday he didn't know about Krishna. The next day he's shaved up with a, dhoti on, tilak. And he's out on the street and he does better than all the seasoned book distributors. He does like twice as many books. You ever seen that happen? Because, he's been a salesman for 10,000 lifetimes. Right? So he knows how to do it. So everybody thinks, well, he's advanced. And then he may think, I must be advanced, that I can do this. And I've kind of like purchased my ticket back to Godhead because I've distributed so many books. Something like that. Like I can purchase my way into Krishna's heart. Which is, I'm not saying it's not true entirely, but when you extend it too far, then it can make you lazy. But specifically, what I've seen is it can make you less introspective, because you don't need to be, because you have certain metrics where you're succeeding. So you look at oh, your blood pressure is good, your blood sugar is good, this, that, and the next thing. And you think, yeah, good, I've had the metrics. That's the allopathic metrics. But you go to the allopath, the Ayurveda, and he goes, kidney, liver. You ever have that experience? The allopath says you're ready for, the marathon, and you go to the Ayurvedic doctor and she's like, you're in bad shape. You ever have that experience? All the stuff it's too subtle for the allopathic doctor. He's just looking at, Did you know, as a side point, when the allopathic doctor is doing your blood test, when they say you're healthy, it's based on an average of the population. So if everybody's sick and you're average, you're healthy. That's how they calculate it. Well, you're in the average of a bunch of sick people, so that makes you average, you're fine, you can leave. So it can cause us to be less introspective, so that we don't even understand, or we don't bother to look at what happened. There's 24 hours in a day, right? How long does it take to chant japa? Two, right? That leaves you 22 hours. Did you ever notice there's 22 hours that you could mess up? Yes? 22 hours you can mess. Okay, mine is 6 or 7 for sleeping, right? So what are we at now? 18, 16, 15, all right. 14 if you like to sleep a lot. So let's say there's 14 hours, all right. So then I do Sankirtan, I do my service for 6 or 8, okay. Still 6 hours. And what are you doing when you're doing your service, right? So, do you ever hear that lecture by Prabhupada where he's talking about offering to Krishna? And if you don't offer bhakti, Prabhupada says, and Krishna kicks it off the altar. You ever heard that? I was like, yeah. He's like, because Prabhupada always talks about don't be puffed up and you approach the deity like I have no value. My body's of no value. I'm just of no value to you. What I'm offering is of no value to you. You have everything. He said, in that way you humbly approach Krishna. You say, please, I beg you, you accept it. So Prabhupada talks a lot about that. Patra pushpam palam toyam. That's the purport to that. And that if you bring an offering to Krishna and you don't have the mood of devotion, kicks it off the altar. Wow. What if Krishna kicked your japa off? What if Krishna kicked your service off because he didn't like the way you were behaving with devotees? Wow. It's possible, maybe. Could be. Right? What do you think? Maybe. Could be, right? So, I have a little saying. Want to hear it? I have 2 levels of sadhana. Sadhana level 1, from whenever you get up till breakfast. And sadhana level 2 starts after breakfast, or during breakfast. But sadhana level 2 is interesting, because sadhana level 1 is where you learn how to act, and sadhana level 2 is where you practice how to act, right? Because think about this. So many things we're learning in terms of behavior, Vaishnava etiquette, and so forth. It comes into play when you're interacting with people. Like if you think of the qualities of a Vaishnava, you go down to 26 qualities, like how many of those qualities are in relation to how we deal with other people? Many of them. They may be in relation to Krishna. But all day we're interacting with people, we're interacting with ourselves also. Sometimes we mistreat ourselves. But we're interacting with people, or we're interacting with situations. So situations, samadukam sukham dhiram, all the equanimity verses, don't be affected by happiness and distress. That's all day, isn't it? There's this funny video. And this man buys this device, and it's meant to stop you from complaining. And you wear this little thing around your neck connected to the device, and every time, you've seen that? And every time you complain, it buzzes you. You've seen that? So, to make a long story short, it's buzzing him all day. You know, it's like he gets up and he puts it on, and then he thought, you know, he was heating up his coffee, but it really wasn't. So he thought it was hot, and he poured it and drank it. Oh, it's cold. Then he went outside, it was really hot. He goes, oh, it's so hot out here. Then he got in the car, it was like, traffic. So it just shows that he was complaining all day. So the idea was, you don't realize how much you complain. And if you want to realize just one thing, how much you complain, get a rubber band, put it around your wrist, and every time you complain, just zap yourself, hard. And if you don't have a red wrist, by the end of the day, you must be an avatar. Because everybody complains and we don't realize it, right? So at the end, this is funny, it ends like he's completely frustrated with his product because it's shocking him all day. And he calls up to return and goes, I want to return. Why? This is shocking me. So he's complaining about the product, and the product keeps shocking him. So this is an example. And anyway, if you don't realize how much you complain, just you get the rubber band, you'll realize it. But you start thinking about it. But the point is, what is complaint? It's an inability to deal with duality. And how many verses does Krishna say? Be equal, happiness and stress, loss and gain, victory, defeat, etc. It's just like, you can't be liberated if you're a yo-yo, right? Isn't it? I mean, those are what I call the yo-yo verses, you know. My dear Arjuna, don't be a yo-yo, and then Krishna gives you all the categories, but there's many more categories than Krishna gives, but it's a principle. And what does Krishna say? Somrit tatvaya kalpate, and then if you tolerate, now you're a candidate for liberation. But if you're a yo-yo, it's like you're either hating the material world or loving it. How do you get out hating it or loving it? You can't. You have to be neutral, right? So it's either situations or people that make your life difficult, right? It's not only insects that bite. Humans also bite with their tongues. Yes? And they say nasty things, and it hurts. And we say nasty things, and we hurt people. So this became really clear to me, much more clear to me about sadhana level 2, how important it is to be aware that this is sadhana level 2, because now level 2 is your practice. Everything you're learning, be tolerant, be compassionate, etc., be forbearing, kind, whatever we're learning, that happens after breakfast, or maybe during breakfast. When sadhana, that morning, did you go into sadhana level 2, and you're supposed to practice it. But most of us, or many of us, don't think like that. We think, I have my service, and if I accomplish my service well, yes, I get a gold star for today. And if I get enough gold stars by the end of my life, then I can show all the gold stars when I get to the gates, you know, and the guards are there saying, how many gold stars do you have? I can show it and they'll let me in, right? So you get to the gates, of course. We're not talking about going to Vaikuntha, but we'll use that example just for now. So you get to the gates of Vaikuntha and you show all your gold stars. And I don't know if you've ever gone through immigration where you have everything and they're like looking at it and going, talking to someone and coming back, and it's like 20 minutes, like, oh. It happened to me twice coming into India. Like there was a problem. And I had to wait like 20 hours before I could get in. So if it goes more than 5 minutes. So imagine you're going to Vaikuntha and you're showing you a little book with all the stars. This day 100 Gitas, this day 150, opened this temple, this made so many life members. And they're going back and forth and they're talking, you know. And they're going, but, you know how you treated people? You know, you were thinking that I'll be the #1 devotee and everyone will praise me and be honored. And you know all those young devotees, the ones you like, just really created hell for them because you were so arrogant. It's nice to think like that. That when we're engaged in bhakti, Krishna is saying, okay, I'm not minimizing your service, we should do it, but in what consciousness, with what behavior? How do we do it? So then I began thinking, there's a word which is called spiritual bypassing. And spiritual bypassing is basically, it was coined by someone, I forget his name, but it basically means in the name of your spiritual practice, you're just completely unaware of everything about yourself. And you just, like, you may have so many problems, you're not aware of it, you don't deal with it, because Jagannath Baladev Subhadraji ki jai, Gaurnitai ki jai. You may have some defects, but you bypass them and you think it's not important because I can do this service. Like I kind of make up for it, you know. It's like, I have cancer, but I go to the gym. No, that's not enough. You need to do much more. So I began thinking of something. I'll just throw this out. It's a thought that's been on my mind a lot. We have the holy name. We have the pure devotee, or many pure devotees. We have Srimad Bhagavatam. We have amazing tools, right? And we know, Shastra says, if you become a devotee, you develop all good qualities. There's a caveat to that. There's a but, and I think we all are aware of the but, that why don't I have all good qualities? I've been doing bhakti for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, and I'm still this, I still am challenged with this or that. So, when Bhagavatam says all good qualities will develop, it never means that you don't work on those qualities, developing those qualities. It means through the power of bhakti they will come, but it doesn't mean you just ignore them. So, for example, let's say you have a really bad anger issue, or you're really arrogant and it's disturbing a lot of devotees. And devotees come up to you and they try to talk to you and say, Prabhu, you should really, consider that this anger is harmful to you and it's harmful to devotees, or that you're becoming difficult to deal with because you don't listen to anybody. And the devotee says to you, whatever, I'm doing, my sadhana is good and all good qualities will develop. So I'm not worried about it and you don't have to worry about it either. What would you think? What do you think? Oh, yeah. He's not going to be successful. He's misunderstood something because he's using that verse to think, I just do this, everything good will come, and I don't have to do anything else. Okay. Really interesting fact is maybe 20 years ago I developed a workshop on forgiveness. And I have fun with the devotees. The first thing I say is, they're all devotees and I know the answer, but I'm having fun with them. I say, how many of you believe in karma? Whatever you do comes back to you. Of course, everyone raises their hand. I said, this is a forgiveness workshop. Why are you here if you believe in karma? That's a paradox. Right? Isn't it? Yes? Total paradox, right? And so I was trying to make a point that even though we're devotees, even though we practice Krishna consciousness, even though we have a philosophy that says devotee is this, or the philosophy just says this is how life is, but when it actually comes down to how we're thinking, feeling, behaving, it's not always aligned, right? Okay, so then we did another exercise. If you come to our workshop, it's on the 24th in Sant Nagar, if you come, then I'll tell you this exercise we do. It's really, really interesting. So, there is this group of people called the Amish, in America, and some madman came into their school and lined 10 girls up and shot all 10 of them, and 3 died. And like a few days later, the Amish people, the man killed himself, and the Amish people went to his widowed wife and said, we just want you to know we forgive your husband. So that's amazing, right? Like unbelievable. And I've done, I don't know how many of these workshops I've done, at least 30. In every workshop I said, if that happened to ISKCON, would we do that? And out of 30 workshops, only one person said yes, we would do that, but I realized they didn't understand the question. So we got 100% of the devotees said, no, I don't think we would do that. And it's interesting, isn't it? Like, you want to hear something really interesting? I was doing some kirtan, this person invited us to do kirtan, and he does counseling, and he was counseling a devotee, and he told the devotee, he said, I think you need forgiveness. And the devotee said, our scriptures don't teach it. It's like, wow, that's really interesting. To get that alienated that you don't even think your scripture teaches something like that. Maybe you just think it's something like extracurricular. You do it if you feel like it, or it's not really central to our philosophy. But I found in Jaiva Dharma, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, devotee is compassionate and devotee is humble. And he said, when you're compassionate, you don't want to see people suffer. When you're humble, you don't want to see people suffer on your account. So I don't like to see you suffer. But you did something to me, and I'm going to get back at you, and you really suffer. No, I don't want that. You don't, I want to forgive you. So he said, if you take compassion and humility, cook them up together, you get forgiveness out of it. But then he said something amazing, and he said, Bhakti is made of compassion, humility, and forgiveness. Wow, Bhakti is made of it. And this devotee is saying, oh, it's not even in our scripture. Or, in other words, it's like, it's not important. It's like, I heard, many lectures about chanting purely, surrendering to Guru, doing Seva, but I never heard about forgiveness. So I was like, I was thinking, I said, this is really interesting. So as a teacher, I'm kind of taking it all in. So then I devised an exercise, and I'll tell you the exercise. If you come to the workshop, you'll be able to do this exercise. And it's what I call a fun exercise. The reason I call it fun is it's fun for me, but for you it's total hell. While you're doing the exercise, you're like, ready to kill yourself, because it makes you feel like something's really wrong with me. But it's fun for me because it has a good result. And when I see you, it's like a coach in a gym, trainer, I see you suffering, I go, yeah, that's good for you, Get that fat off your body, So, so I tell the devotees, write down your values, like what is like your integrity, what are the goals of your life, how you're in terms of what do you aspire for. So the devotees say, what are my values? Rise early, clean, good japa, be kind, humble, etc. Like be sense controlled, control the mind. Whatever you write down, right? Okay. So you get your values. I'm kind of blowing it for you if you're going to do this exercise because you know it, but it's so good. I have to tell you. So people don't know why I'm asking them to do that. It's just, it's like, I value ecology, I value taking care of cows. You just go down the list. I value, learning, Shastra. And then, after you do that, you have a column next to that, and then we ask you the next question, and the question is this. If I had your life on video for the last 6 months, like everything, 24/7, hidden cameras, and all those videos were brought to an agency, and we paid them to watch those videos videos and tell us, what do you think are the values of this person? And then you have to think, well, what do I do? You know, I say, I'm really into Shastra, and they go, well, actually, I haven't learned a verse in like 14 years, and, you know, I'm still on this third verse of Bhagavatam, I can't seem to get past it, you know. But I deceive myself, I realize how much I deceive myself, I realize how much I am out of integrity with what I believe, which is like a huge awakening for devotees. Because, and here's the reason, which at least I think this is a valid discovery. When you understand something, it's very difficult to ascertain the difference between understanding and living it, because psychologically when you understand it, you think you live it. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I know that. Right? I had a teacher who taught me how to do seminars. And the way he begins the seminar, he said, I have 3 words, and these 3 words are, I know that. Because you ever hear a lecture and you're like, yeah, I know that. You know. So Prabhu's aham brahmasmi, we're not the body, we're part and parcel of servant. I know that. I've heard that 10,866 times. I have a counter just to count how many times I've heard it. And, oh, you know that. You realize you're not the body, really. Oh, that's amazing, yeah. No, then so, and there's a story, this is a very interesting story. There was a girl who was very adamant about ecology. So, in America, you can buy, and maybe here also, you can buy things in bulk. They're not in bags. You bring your own bag and you put it in, right? So she would bring her own bags, not plastic, like paper or something reusable. And she would, so no plastic. And she'd get really upset when she would, like, you know, water bottles, like worst thing. Single-use plastic. It's like just filling up the earth with plastic water bottles, right? It's good for business, but it's such a waste. I mean, when I was a kid, if you told people you have to pay for water, they'd be like, why would you do that? Of course, in India, it's, you know, if you don't pay for water, you pay for the hospital, right? Yeah, something like that. But in America, the water was good, so it was like... So, she had no plastic, and she was very upset with people. And she would always criticize them when she would, like at school, she'd see students eating out of plastic bowls, plastic spoons, plastic bottles. And then one day, something amazing happened. You'll never guess what happened. She opened up a refrigerator and she found plastic inside the refrigerator. Now, the reason this is amazing is because plastic bottles and containers don't have legs. It requires a person to purchase them and put them in there. And guess who that person was who purchased them and put them in there? It was her. And she was shocked when she saw them in there, and she actually bought them and put them in there. Isn't that interesting? So what actually happened? What happened was she thought she was the emblem of ecological living. And because she thought she was the emblem, when she didn't live that way, it didn't register in her mind, because however you think of yourself, no matter what you do, you will only think of yourself in terms of that identity. So like, kind of like, you know, the person who gets mad and you say, don't get mad, and like, I'm not mad! You've seen that, right? Prabhu, you're mad. No, I'm not! I'm perfectly calm. You're the one who's mad, you know? It's like, how can you say that? Because you're identifying yourself as a peaceful person. So you can't see that you're not peaceful. You identify yourself as someone who's ecological. I identify myself as this. I'm a nice devotee, I'm this, this, and this. And that identity, it's so strange, but no matter what you do, you see everything through that identity, and you may not realize it. So you just think about this in your own life. It's very interesting. If you think about this long enough, you'll start to realize and remember those times when people say, Prabhu, you shouldn't do that, and you say, I never do that. And the person says, you always do that. No, I never do that. It's like, why do they see you do something that you never do? Because you don't identify yourself as the kind of person that would do that, so you don't notice it. Isn't that interesting? So, here is what I've been thinking about lately. You want to hear what I've been thinking about lately? It's not bad. I try to think of good things, philosophical things. So we have this process. It's so powerful, right? The 5 most important processes of bhakti. It's all you need, right? And we do it every morning. We have Sangha, we're in the Dham, we're hearing Bhagavatam, we're chanting the holy name, worshipping the deity. Wow. You have that. That is so amazingly powerful. But there's a problem. And I don't know if you have this problem. I'm going to throw it out and you can think. Because we have that, we think I'm good. So I don't have to be so sensitive to how I'm dealing with other people, if I'm equipoised, if I'm compassionate, if I'm whatever, forgiving, humble, because the process is so powerful. I feel like everything it's going to happen through the process. And one of the reasons I got this realization is because I started to help my preaching, and out of curiosity, I started listening to other spiritual teachers because I want to see what are they teaching. And one thing I noticed is really interesting. Would you like to hear it? You're thinking, why is he listening to other spiritual teachers? Well, you're in competition with them, so the businessman should know what the competition is doing, right? Isn't it? Yeah. But particularly I'm interested in why do they have so many followers? Well, you could say because they're bogus and, it's all watered down and people don't have to surrender. But it's not always the case. In some cases, they do have to. They have strict principles. But something I realized in dealing with people who are into yoga, people who are not brahmachari, brahmacharini, I noticed that because they don't have such a powerful process, they're more conscious of their behavior, like they have to be. Because they can't just say, well, I just chant Hare Krishna, so it'll all come. They Om for 15 minutes, but that's not like so powerful, right? And they'll read some books just by self-made gurus, so it's not so powerful, right? So they're much more conscious, like when I'm meditating, I'm only doing it 15 minutes, am I actually present to my mantra? How I'm dealing with people? Am I compassionate to others genuinely? It's easy to be compassionate. If you're a Hare Krishna devotee, just go out and preach. That's how we manifest compassion, right? And then come back, and you come back from Sankirtan, there's a devotee sleeping who's sick, and you walk over him and accidentally kick him in the head. Oh, sorry, Prabhu, and then go run to get your prasadam. But the compassion sometimes gets left at the door, right? And then what about compassion to yourself? You neglect yourself. Compassion outside, maybe less inside, maybe less to yourself. Things like that, right? So I noticed with these other people, they're a little more conscious of it. And I thought, this is really interesting, because we're often a little less conscious of maybe some things we need to be conscious of. So that was the introduction to read what I'm going to read. What time do we end? We already ended, right? Okay. Why I want to go back to Godhead? Because I hate to end classes. And so when you go there, you don't have to end. You ever been to a class and it's getting really good and people asking questions and you're just starting to open things up? And then class ends. You ever and you're like, oh, I wish it could go on. Well, if you go back to Godhead, it can just go on forever. Not only that, you don't have to talk about it, you're in the Leela. So that's even better, right? Okay. I guess I should make this bigger, right? Okay. You can't really see that, can you? Well, if you can see it in the back, you have very good eyes. Okay. My dear Sanatan, although you are the deliverer of the entire universe, and although even the demigods and great saints are purified by touching you, the next verse, you simultaneously perform both duties in relation... No. This got truncated. I have to find the verse. Hold on. Anja 4:104. I think I knocked it out. Oh, it's in... yeah. Hold on a second. See if it... Sometimes it doesn't. Let's see if it works. All right. No. What happened? Anyway, I think we can understand the verse. He was saying how maybe it'll come up. It's just that Sanatana Goswami, he embodied Vaishnava etiquette, the behavior, Vaishnava etiquette, both in terms of how you behave in terms of etiquette, but personal behavior, your own character. So it includes both things. Because, you could Vaishnava etiquette, I serve you first because you're an older devotee. I'm following the etiquette. But, and that's good, but also your character. So, the next verse, Achar, do you have in Hindi, Achar Prachar, or that's just Bengali?
I think it's until 129, 130.
Yeah, I have those verses. Maybe, anyway, we're reading them. Yeah. This is 129.
129.
This is 129. Achar Pachar, Namera, Koraha, Dui Korya. Tumi Sharva Guru, Tumi Jagatera Arya. You simultaneously perform both duties in relation to the holy name by your personal behavior and by your preaching. Therefore, you are the spiritual master of the entire world, for you are the most advanced devotee in the world. Prabhupada says the devotee's duty is to follow Vaishnava etiquette as stated in Antya 4:30. It is the characteristic of a devotee to observe and protect Vaishnava etiquette. Maintenance of the Vaishnava etiquette is the ornament of a devotee. So I want to go back. This is...
103, but here over 130.
I thought that was what I just read. Anyway, let's try it again.
Yeah, this is the what's number. Yes, 129, 130.
So I'll go back to it. It's one... Let's see. I thought that's what I had.
Oh, actually, Ante is A-N-Y-A-M-T-Y.
Minor details, right? So, yeah, there it is. Let's go to the contents. Ancha 130.
Chapter 4,
I thought I had them both. You are the deliverer, although you are the deliverer of the entire universe, even the demigods and great saints are purified by touching you. It is the characteristic of a devotee. Wow, what's going on? Wait. That's weird, right? It's a characteristic of a devotee to observe and protect Vaishnava dedicated maintenance. Let's go to the next. The one before? Yeah. Anyway, let me, it's okay. So, Thakur Haridas is glorified because he not only teaches, but he follows what he teaches. So what did Mahaprabhu say? Some people follow what they teach, but they don't teach. Well, they can't follow what they teach. Some people follow, but they don't teach. Some people teach and they don't follow, but you teach and follow what you teach. So, do you think it's a problem if you teach something you don't follow? Yes or yes? What's the problem? What's the problem? Well, I can tell you how people will think. If I'm teaching something and I don't follow it, it casts a message. It's impossible to follow, because even the person teaching it can't follow it. Right? So why should I be stupid enough to try to listen to this guy? He can't even do what he's teaching. Right? Or they think, okay, he's teaching this, and the question in their mind is, does he follow it? Because again, if he doesn't follow it, what's the use? Do you know in Christianity, you know what they say, at least some sects, or most of them? They say that what Jesus taught is impossible for anyone to follow. And therefore the whole salvation philosophy, you're saved by grace because you can't follow. It's interesting because I see this happening in ISKCON. It's like, well, that was when Prabhupada was here, and that's the Prabhupada disciples, and they could do it, or that's India, they can do it. They can't do it in the West. It's like, it's the same idea. Like, 100 years from now, yeah, that was 2024. This is 2124. 2024, the world was different. The brahmacharis were different. People were different. They could actually chant 16 rounds and follow 4 principles. Now it's 2124. You can't expect us to do that. Right? Could you see that happening? Yeah. So, if I teach something, and I've seen this, and this is really interesting. If I teach something, but in the culture of your temple, nobody does it, none of you can follow what I teach. And it will confuse you. What's he talking about? We don't do that. It must be impossible. Right? I've had this experience that some people would say, we would like you to do a seminar on this topic. And it's like the temple is like they're very conflicted and they're not getting along. And they say, we want you to do a seminar on cooperation. And I'll say, no. I say, because your culture is so dysfunctional that it won't matter what I say. Because when the class is over, you'll just start, rah, 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 rah. That'll start up again. And I have a story for you. Would you like to hear another story? This is. I could write a book called Stories from the Asana, because this is Vyasa Asana, because this is what I see happening as a teacher. Like a teacher observes what's going on. So, it's another story about the forgiveness workshop. So, we're doing a forgiveness workshop for like 6-7 hours, but if we when we have the full workshop, it goes for 2 days. And I've done it many, many places. And so we go through different exercises, and then usually at the end of the workshop, people let go of whatever resentment they have. They write their story on a paper. By the end of the workshop, we say, tear it up and throw it into the, we have a jugya, throw it into the jugya, you know, just leave that. You don't need it, it's just a story in your head, just, right? So, many people come to ISKCON and they already have that resentment from the past. And they join ISKCON and it stays. They didn't, somehow or other they couldn't let it go. Some people get it after coming. They have an interaction that's very distasteful and they develop resentments, right? And in a temple where that's not part of the culture, you wouldn't naturally just let it go because nobody's really talking about it. You're not trying to cultivate it. And I've seen it. Like every temple has a different culture. It's the same philosophy, it's the same mantra, but the culture's different. It's interesting. So I went to one temple, and it was actually Bhaktivedanta Hospital, and we were supposed to start at 10, but they said a lot of the doctors are not free till 11, so I just gave a little talk for an hour, like everybody's already there. I don't want them to sit for an hour and while we're waiting for the other people. So I gave a talk which was not the foundation of the workshop, but just a talk about how forgiveness is sattvic, how we have to be in sattva gun. From there, it's the best place to advance in Krishna consciousness. We need to develop sattva qualities like that. Before I began, I said, write your story down. By the end of the 1 hour lecture, 95% of the people came up, tore their paper, and said, I let it go, with an hour lecture. Generally, in my workshops, they don't start tearing up the paper till about the 7th hour. Some people tear it up 1 minute before the end of the workshop. It takes them the whole time. So I said to everyone, Kya hai? What's going on here? Kya hai, Baba? He said, it's like, this was unusual, I never saw it. We didn't even start the workshop, and there was like 4 or 5 people who didn't tear it up, and there was maybe 30 there, and they tore it up. So what happened? I said, like, what's going on here? And they said, oh, Maharaj, Radha Swami, he talks about this all the time. It's like, we've heard this a million times. So the nut was already loose. All you did is just come in and go, tink, tink, and the nut fell off, right? Whereas some places I go, it's like, get the, you know, whatever you call it, DW20 or whatever you have, spray it, get the bigger wrench, get the bigger guy, you know, it's like hour after hour after hour. It's not part of the culture. And so, it's interesting, isn't it? So, this is just a reality seen from the Yasasana. Why do different temples have different cultures? Because it's different countries, it's different cities, it's different past samskars. And unless we try to purify that, it's the culture we brought. And rather than the Krishna conscious culture, we just brought in a culture and we let it sit. Does that make sense? So I believe part of that is the lack of introspection, that we're like, stage 1 sadhana, there is no such thing as stage 2, there's no introspection, I did good rounds, everything is good. And I don't notice these things about myself and my behavior, and you know, I should have been nicer to that devotee, I shouldn't have said this, that's a sign that I'm proud. You ever say something and you realize, if I were a little more humble, I wouldn't have said that, or I wouldn't have done that, that kind of thing. Like that. So it's quite interesting. So that's this verse and this message of living what you teach, it's very, very important for creating a culture. This is I don't know if you've seen this, but I went to one country and some devotees said, I never was a critical person before I became a devotee. And I learned it in ISKCON. Wow. And And I heard that and I said, what a failure. Like, that is like, you know, like that is like, if somebody comes to ISKCON and they learn something bad or cultivate something bad that they never learned or cultivated before they became to ISKCON, that is a major failing of our movement, right? Then I realized another thing, and this is probably the icing on the cake, and maybe you realize this also. If you create the culture, people will learn the philosophy without having to come to a class because they'll see it in action. They'll know. Just like that video, when you're living as a devotee, then they're gonna say, well, what do you think this person believes? I think he believes in surrender to God. I think he believes in sense control. I think he believes in, because they see it. So if we're living the culture, then people come and they see the philosophy in action. And even if you didn't give a class, they'd pretty much understand. You agree? Yeah. And so if we don't model that culture, then we're preaching one thing, modeling another thing, we're making it impossible for people, right? The last thing I want to say, and these are all realizations from teaching that forgiveness course. This is actually all an ad to convince you to come. If you want to come, when is it? The 24th in Sant Nagar, from 10 to 6 or something, yeah. And you can sign up where? On their website, I guess. Or you have an ad here? Or do you have? Yeah. Where's Kamalochan? Can you give him an ad? Yeah. Okay. Kamalochan wants you to come, so you can translate in Hindi. You want to come? You want to come? You busy that day? Then we get another, 10,000 people to come. Anyway, you talk to him. He's a good salesman. He might convince you. So, I have to tell you what it was like to see Prabhupada, because once I tell you this, and you probably understand this, but you'll understand it more, and once I tell you this, it'll just kind of culminate, it'll finish my talk, and it'll culminate in the cherries on top. When I was in Prabhupada's presence, sometimes, many times, maybe all the time, I felt like I just wanted to give my whole life to Krishna. Just completely. The intelligence was not analyzing, but what if I give my life to Krishna, then what if I want to get married, and how will I make money, and what if I won't be happy? None of that. You just see Prabhupada, and you're like, I want to give my life. Whatever you, jump off the Empire State Building, whatever, tell me what to do, Prabhupada, then my only happiness is to do that. And I'm 22 years old, or 21, or 19, been a devotee a few months, and I see Prabhupada, and that's how I feel. Why? Why do I feel that way? It's obvious, right? Because that's what Prabhupada feels, and I'm getting it, right? Think of this. You memorize every lecture Prabhupada ever gave, and Prabhupada sends you to New York. And he says, here's what I want you to preach. So everything exactly that Prabhupada preached in those years, you preach it also. Would you have the same effect? You said the exact same thing. Isn't that interesting? So unless you are what you teach, you don't have the effect, even though you say it. And that's why that's the other reason why it's so important to be the example, because how do you convince somebody of something that you don't really embody, live, feel, and breathe? And if you live, feel, and breathe it, you see Prabhupada and he smiles and like, I want to be your disciple. It's like it. Some people came to the temple off the street for the first time, saw Prabhupada, never left. Never read Bhagavad Gita, never chanted a mantra. So you have to live, it's obvious we have to live what we teach for so many reasons. And that was what I want to talk about today. Thank you very much for listening. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Yeah. Questions. Only 10 rupees a question. Second question, 100. Third question, 1,000. That's how I support my preaching. Yeah. Yes. Just raise your hand if you have a question, and microphone will come to you. You want to hear something funny? Prabhupada said, any questions? And nobody had any questions. And Prabhupada said, what, you know everything? No questions? Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much for your wonderful words, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, you were talking about compassion, that naturally people, they have emotions, and if you are hurt by someone, then naturally there will be not any feeling of compassion. So
if you say that again, if you have what, there will be no compassion.
If you are hurt by someone, then naturally it's difficult for us.
Oh yeah, right.
So in that cases, means how do we apply compassion in practical life? Because we know we should do it, but we are
okay.
just naturally hurt.
I was telling the devotees on the way over here that many of us don't actually realize what we signed up for when we decided to become devotees. And your question is a good lead-in to this topic. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, we should only desire the greatest good for our worst enemy, right? So now imagine all of you who are living in the temple, or want to live in the temple, even want to become a member of ISKCON, you're signing an agreement, and this is what's required. And one of the requirements is you have to desire the greatest good for your worst enemy. Yes or no? Like, I think we would have less members. What do you think? Yes? No? It would at least be scary, wouldn't it? Like you think, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. I thought I'm signing up for pakoras and sweet rice, and I can be a brahmachari and just kind of do a little seva and like just good life, So when you sign up for bhakti, you're signing up for a lot of things you may not have realized. And your question indicates one thing you're signing up for. Okay, yes, it's difficult, for sure, right? But if we don't do that, then who in the world is going to do it? If the Brahmins don't live in Sattvagun, nobody else is going to. And if there's not people living in Sattvagun, if there's not a certain percentage of the population are real Brahmins, then there's no hope for society. So if it's not us, who is it? Who's going to do it? So this is what we sign up for. To only want the greatest good for our worst enemy. So, okay, it's hard, right? Is it difficult to want good for those who are good to you? If I give you a $10,000 watch, that 10,000, that's 107, what, 1 lakh? Anyway, it's a lot of money. 10,000. 10,000 times, no. 10,000 times 80. 80 lakh rupee watch, like a Rolex, right? Are you going to buy me a 50 rupee pair of socks for my birthday? No, you're going to go and find out how much that watch cost, and you're going to start looking, right? If I give you a 50 rupee pair of socks, are you going to be looking at a $10,000 Rolex watch for me? Not unless you really love me. Yeah. So generally, we reciprocate, don't we? And we also reciprocate negatively. You're nasty to me, I'm nasty to you. You're nice to me, I'm nice to you. So the answer to your question is that when we are supposed to be compassionate, forgiving, it's not qualified on the behavior of the other person. It's a quality of a Vaishnava. If it's qualified on the basis of another person, would have been bad luck for Hiranyakashipu, would have been bad luck for the people who are whipping Thakur Haridas, it would have been bad luck for Durvasa Muni, and just go down the list. I mean, look at Ambarish Maharaj. When Durvasa came back to apologize, what did Ambarish Maharaj say? No problem, you didn't do anything. You didn't do anything, he tried to kill him. Okay, think about this. Somebody tries to kill you. They come back and apologize because they had no choice, otherwise they'd be killed. And you say, no problem, come in, I'll serve you breakfast. Could you serve breakfast to someone who tried to kill you? No. That's what he did. Interesting, isn't it? Very interesting. That's what you signed up for. To serve breakfast to someone who tried to kill you. Hare Krishna. And yeah, that's why I say, if we don't fully realize what we signed up for, like what is pure bhakti? I mean, this is what I want. So if this is what you want, this is what we have to do. At least, and if you can't do it, pray for it. So I have a little mantra that I developed for the forgiveness workshop. They said, the path to forgiveness is paved with the practice of forgiveness. The path to forgiveness is, so I don't want to do that, but if I'm going to be forgiving, I have to practice it. How the path to humility is paved with the practice of humility. The path to blank is paved with the practice of blank. That's how you do it. Otherwise you get into this, oh, you just chant and all good qualities come, and I don't have to practice those qualities. I have to practice, I don't have them. That's how I develop them, right, through practice. You want to hear something funny? That's actually funny. We say, I don't know if you're in Indian English, funny means funny. When we say funny, we mean weird. It could be funny, but we say something funny, this is weird, right? Isn't it true you get good at what you practice? So the more you practice, the better you get. So what are you practicing? Hating the people who hurt you? You practice that. Are you practicing that? Like, this person was not compassionate, I can't be compassionate to this person. So what are you practicing? You're practicing not being compassionate to a person who hurt you. And as you practice it day after day, year after year, what happens? You get really good at it because you practice it all the time. Right? So think about that. Like, so think, well, they deserve it, or I'm just human, and how can you expect me to... Fine, if that's what you want to say, but you're going to practice that. And 10 years from now, after another 10 years of practicing not being compassionate to people who weren't compassionate to you, you're going to be really good at not being compassionate. Yes? Or whatever it is. You don't control your anger. You just get angry all the time. You're really good at getting angry. You could get a gold medal. You're so good at it because you have so much practice. Right? Or you practice controlling it, or you practice being compassionate to people who hurt you, because that's what you're supposed to do as a devotee, and then you get good at it. It's pretty simple, isn't it? Yeah, it's so simple. As Prabhupada said, it's so simple you can miss it. I was going to write a book, and it was be called something like the duh factor. In America we say does, like of course. You know, it's like all the things that are right in front of your nose that you don't see. You know, it's like just common, you know. It's so simple, you can miss it. That is simple, isn't it? I think everything I said is simple. I like to state things simply that everyone misses, because I think that's important. Isn't it? I think that's why we can help people. So, yeah, any other questions? Is that okay? Did that, yeah. Now you have to get to work, start practicing. It's 9 o'clock, sadhana level 2, just starting. You can put a little sign up. Sadhana level 2 starts at 9 a.m. Don't forget, sadhana level 2 starts at 9 a.m. Yes?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, this is my first time having your darshan Prabhuji. Thank you so
Hare
much.
Krishna.
So, Prabhuji, my question is like within the association of devotees, we are supposed to be like alert, not to do any kind of offenses. But if I talk about myself, I am very much free mixing person. So sometimes my acts, although I don't have
Reading from His Holiness Bhakti Dhira Swami Maharaj's book on introspectiveness, Spiritual Warrior 5. Find time for introspection. Take a moment to remember the times on your own spiritual quest when you felt most enthusiastic. We want to pinpoint the times in which we felt more God conscious and devotional than ever before. Conversely, look at the times when you felt unenthused and do a similar analysis. These questions might help stimulate your thought process. Are you enthusiastic about your existence as a servant of the Lord? Are you enthusiastic to follow the basic principles that will help elevate your consciousness? Are you enthusiastic in the association of saintly people? Are you enthusiastic about what you can experience in your purest state? We must examine our spiritual life on a daily, weekly, and even yearly basis. This examination will help us recognize how various activities and thoughts affect us. We should note how the quality of experiences varies according to our absorption in the process of bhakti. During this self analysis, some people find that regulation in their spiritual practices helps maintain enthusiasm because the spiritual activities keep the consciousness absorbed in a positive direction. Other people find that a sense of worth or accomplishment helps them feel enlivened. Most have seen that being properly engaged in service can help their focus in God consciousness, whereas excessive idle time can lead to apathy.
Adipurusha Bhajami Govinda Adipurusha Bhajami Govinda Adipurusha Bhajami Bhagavatam Samasitam Sundaram Kandarpakuti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobha Govinda Adipurusha Bhajami Anganiyashakave Driyam Nishtimandi Pashanti Panti Kayanti Chiram Jaganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jaya Virasya Govinda Adipurusha Samavajami Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna
Bhakti Vedanta Swami
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Yodhukare Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srinamite
Namaste Saraswati Gauravani Pracharine Nirvicheta Sundari Asatra Vishacharine
Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachyata Vishacharine
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadadhar Srivastava Bhakta
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadadhar Srivastava Bhakta
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana, Sachinandana, Gaura Hare. Jai Sachinandana, Gaura Hare. Sachinandana, Gaura Hare. Jai Sachinandana, Gaura Hare. Jai Lalita Vichata, Jai Radhe Shyam. Lalita Vichata, Jai Radhe Shyam. Jai Lalita Vichata, Jai Radhe Shyam. 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 Jagannato, Baladeva, Subhadramaya, Jai Sudarsana. Jai Jagannato, Baladeva, Subhadramaya, Jai Sudarsana. Jai Giri Govardhan, Jai Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jai Giri Govardhan. Jai Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jai Giri Govardhan. Panchatattva, 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 Jai Panchatattva. Jai Panchatattva, 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 Jai Vatsala Sri Gaura Hari. Vajabhakata Vatsala Sri Gaura Hari. Sri Gaura Hari Sahi Goshta Bihari. Nanda Jasomati Chita Hari. Dhira Damodara Swami. Bihari Baladeva Saha Saka Voice Sari Sari Shukta Shakhari Vaji Lalita Kushmanda Dalidana Dugda Tumi Dadi Mocha Kanda Dabora Mash Boda Roti Kagritana Daskuli Pista Kakir Puli Payasana Kapura Amrita Keli Ramba Kirashara Amrita Rasalama Dvadasha Pakora Luci Sinisar Puri Ladura Sabali Bhojana Korena Krishna Hoye Kutuhali Radhikara Pakayana Bibida Byanjana Paramayanande Krishna Korena Bhojana Chale Bale Ladu Khai Sri Madhu Mangala Bagala Bajaya Deya Hari Bolo Radhikari Gani Hari Nayane Rakone Ripta Hoye Kai Krishna Jasoda Bhavani Bhojanande Priya Krishna Subhasita Bari Sabe Mukha Prakaloy Kore Sari Sari Asta Mukha Prakaliya Jata Sakagane Anande Vishrama Kore Baladeva Sane Jambula Rasalane Jambula Masala Tahake Krishna Chandra Suke Nidradela Vishalaka Shiki Pucha Chamara Dulaya Apurva Sayaya Krishna Suke Nirayaya Yasomati Anga Priye Danishtaya Nito Sri Krishna Prasad Radha Gunje Hoye Prito Lalithari Saki Gana Avashesha Paya Mane Mane Sukhe Radha Krishna Guna Gaya Hari Lila Ekamatra Jahara Pamoda Bhogarati Gai Thakur Bhakti Vinoda Katha Vatsala Sri Gaura Hari Vajapa Katha Vatsala Sri Gaura Hari Sri Gaura Hari Sahi Gosta Bihari সহি গোষ্ঠ বিহারী নন্দ যশোমতি